that Atlanta Falcons radio show. So get up, get out, and get something. Get in the zone. We live in the DT. Tune in, cause we about to blow like TNT. Falcons Central Radio show. Gonna be berserk, you heard. We ain't even tripping, catching y'all slipping. What's good, man? On the Pro Football Central Radio Network, hosted by Aaron Freeman and Scott Carasik. What? This right here is a good present for you. Enjoy my presence like I was Santa Claus, man. Chillin', doing it.
All right. I gotta say, that's pretty awesome. That's probably the only time I'm ever gonna have anybody rap about me. And yes, this is Scott Carasik, Falcons Central Radio. Welcome back to another edition. We got a couple people that we're gonna have on today. We're gonna get a bunch of your questions from the mailbag. I have probably 10, so we won't be able to get to all of them, but we definitely have a lot of things we can answer for you tonight. Just kind of starting it out. One thing I've noticed is people took to my suggestion of Andre 3000 and Big Boy calling it the Stankonia Dome. You notice that, Aaron?
I did notice that. I've seen that quite a bit around the internet. Stankonia Dome.
But if Andre 3000 and Big Boy actually did it, that's the thought. Because I would love to see them actually, like, if they were billionaires and they could afford it, and it was like $300 million, and they called it the Stankonia Dome, you know?
Okay.
Without PSLs?
Sure.
You know, if they're going to give them a cut, probably not. But if I had $1 billion, I'd have it be Carasik Field. Why not?
I've heard rumors about a new Outkast album coming out sometime, in 2013, 2014. So, maybe if they get enough sales on that, I don't know how they do it, iTunes downloads or however they make their money nowadays in the music industry. Maybe it's a possibility. So
I would not know. Honestly, you're probably asking the wrong guy here because I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not an economics major, so when it comes to like iTunes downloads and this and that and the other, I've got probably 3 days of business class in my experience. And that's what you can call macroeconomics.
Okay.
I took economics in high school, and it was the exact same class that I took in college. Because the guy who I had in high school had just graduated from the same college I went to. So It was like taking the easiest class in the world twice. I made a 98 in high school and I made a 99 in college. And I don't even remember what I got wrong to make it a 99, which makes me feel stupid.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't take business classes when I was in college. So, hey, how's it going, Robert McClain? This is Aaron Freeman. You're on with me and Scott Carasik. I think I speak for both me and Scott. You were one of our favorite players to watch last year on the Falcons team. And we look forward to talking with you.
Oh, yeah, no problem.
So you played with Carolina, and then you kind of hung out in Jacksonville, I want to say, for a year. How did it feel, going through Carolina, feeling like you had a spot on the team, the coaching staff gets kicked, and then, going to Jacksonville? You've kind of had a lot of uncertainty in your career. How's it felt going through that?
It was kind of weird at first, because I was kind of, sitting around just waiting for my opportunity. And, it wasn't easy, especially after my rookie season, the season we had with Carolina, it wasn't an easy transition after the lockout and new coaching staff. And then I didn't make the team. So it was tough that free agency period during the season I was sitting out. And I kind of was real resilient. I didn't want to give up. So I kind of stuck with it. My agent motivated me in a lot of stuff, and it worked out where I finally got picked up by Atlanta.
Okay.
Now I think you'd agree with me that this is probably your best role on a team is the nickel coming in, getting that slot receiver. Because would you say that you're the best nickel in the game?
You say what I say? I'm the best nickel corner.
Would you say that you're the best nickel corner in the game?
I wouldn't say I'm the best. I'd say I really don't know who's technically the best. You know, everybody has their own style at that position, and everybody has their strengths and weaknesses. And I still have a lot of weaknesses that I need to improve on, and I have a lot of strengths that does help me at a nickel corner. But I don't think I'm the best. You know, I'm been improving my game every day in practice. You know, covering Julio Roddy and Harry Douglas, but I'm not at the level where I want to be at to be even considered the best. So.
Okay, talking about nickel, is your role expected this year to be in the nickel, or do you feel like you're in a position to compete to be one of the outside corners?
You know, every year I'm competing to get the starting role in the outside corner, but whatever the coaches decide, I'm gonna go with that. You know, the main goal overall is to win, and of course, my personal goals is to be a starter and to play a lot on defense and on special teams wherever the coaches need me, but Overall, I want to do what the coaches want me to do. You know, I'm either way, I'm gonna be out there making plays and trying to help the team win.
Another question I wanted to ask you was, you don't consider yourself to be the best in the game, but I remember watching you, line up against, tight end like Jimmy Graham and be able to make plays. Do you find it easier? Is there a specific type of receiver that you like to get matched up with? You like going against the big guys? You like the small, quick guys, or it's just you're willing to take on all comers?
I'm willing to pretty much take on anybody with any type of style in that nickel spot. I've covered tons of variety of receivers in that position, the slot receiver position, from like Victor Cruz and to Taekwon Lewis and Marcus Colson, just the Santana Moss, a bunch of players, and I take notes on each individual player because each player is different. So I have to change my style of game, certain games, because each player is so different. So, but I mean, it doesn't matter whether I'm covering a fast guy, tall guy, quick guy. I have to adjust my game, and that's part of being a professional.
The Falcons used their top 2 picks on a pair of corners. Did you take that personally, or is that just like motivation for you?
I didn't take it personally, or I have motivation, but I have motivation outside of who teams draft or who teams add to the roster. My motivation comes from something else. But it was a need that we needed in the secondary. We lost a lot of great players, from Chris Owens, Brent Grimes, and Dante Robinson. So it was needs. We needed people in the secondary to fill those roster spots. And I take it every year as a chance to compete. I kind of came on the scene out of nowhere last year, and I see it as an opportunity to compete and go out there and play the sport I love.
Okay. And speaking of those young guys, are you seeing any? What sorts of things are you seeing out of those guys so far in mini camps and OTAs?
They're both great players, and they deserve to be picked in the spots they've been picked, in the draft this year. And I'm helping both of them in any way I possibly can, to understand the playbook and to get them on board with our system in Atlanta and our defense and our philosophy and stuff. Because they're going to be great players in this league, and just like I said, our staff, our team, they made great decisions on the players they make, and it's going to pan out for us, and they're going to help us greatly.
Okay.
They're both great players, and they both have a different style of game, but they both can make plays. So that's something we definitely need in our secondary.
Scott and I were speaking with Asante a couple of weeks ago, and he was talking about being a leader, and it's not something that he particularly embrace it, or I shouldn't say that. It's one of those things that he feels that he needs to do as one of the veterans on the team. You've been on the team for a year, but given the turnover that you talked about earlier, do you feel like you need to take more of a leadership role as, this defense got a little bit younger with losing some of the players like Brent Grimes and Dante Robinson and John Abraham?
Yeah, everybody pretty much has their own kind of leadership roles in them, and I may not be a vocal guy, but I do go out there to practice, or I do come to the game. I come prepared and I come ready to practice, and I practice as though I'm playing in a game. So I feel as though my leadership acts, it happens through my actions, And you know, that same thing with Santi. You know, he makes plays, he jokes around here and there, but when it's time for business and it's time to get down and serious, he's ready for the game. He's mentally focused and ready for the game, and that's how he prepares for the game. And that's how the young players will see how we prepare for the game. And you know, everybody can be stars during practice and yell and talk like that, but it's when you're on the field and you do those things on the field and you know you prove what you're going to do, which Asante has done like year after year, and that's kind of how I want to be. Just follows my actions, kind of be a leader that way.
Okay. I had a question about you know, some of your off the field hobbies. I understand that you are an artist.
Yeah.
Okay. What sorts of art do you do?
I do all types of art. You know, I don't limit myself to one specific type of piece that I don't draw. I kind of look at something and I decide I want to draw. Yes, by the detail, the drawing, the shading, and stuff like that. But I only work with pencil, pen, and charcoal and white charcoal. So those are the only mediums I work with now. But I've kind of improved over the years using those mediums because I've used them so much. And just in general, just things I like to draw. I'll draw. You know, nothing specific.
Okay. Do you have a website that displays your work?
I'm actually in my website's being developed right now. It's about 85% done. I'm just getting some pictures up there and, you know, working for the PayPal stuff. But this year I started selling my art this year, and at the end of the year I'm going to donate 50% of my art sales to the Humane Society. So I'm getting all that stuff together this year, selling my art and making prints of certain pieces of my art that the people want and the fans want. So.
Okay. Yeah, we love to promote that site, you know, when it's online. So you can send us a message when that gets up. And, you know, if you're doing fan art, you know, Scott and I being two of your biggest fans, we'd love if you could do some art for us on the show.
Okay, yeah, I could definitely do that.
Okay.
So, Robert, you said something about the Humane Society there.
Mm-hmm.
What are you, more of a dog person, more of a cat person?
I'm just an animal person in general. I'm allergic to cats, so I don't pet them as much as I should be. You know, I just don't. I'm not when I'm around them. I sneeze and runny nose and stuff like that. But I just like you know, I just like just the animals in general. You know, just the fact that they don't have a voice to to support or do things that they want to do. You know, just the fact that people have hearts and the kindness to help them. That's just something I like to do. And I got my dog from a rescue spot in South Carolina, and I've been with him since he was 5, 6 weeks old. And I don't know, it's something I like to do, something I like to bring my dog to, and something people around the community should do to volunteer, just to do small things to help the animals out.
Okay.
You said a rescue spot in South Carolina.
Yeah. When I was at Carolina, after my rookie season, I ended up getting a dog.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
I got him. Yeah, I got him in South Carolina, and he's been with me ever since.
What kind of dog is it?
It's actually a German Shepherd mix.
So it's probably friggin' huge.
No, he's only 54 pounds. He's whatever he's mixed with has him at that medium size. So he's not too big, he's not too small. So he's perfect size, especially for me in my apartment.
Because I've got a half pit, half lab mix who's about 90 pounds.
Yeah, I don't think I could do that. That's too big for me. I can still at least pick up my dog, and not struggle too much. So. Quick
question, back to football for a second. Out of all the receivers you've covered, who talked the most trash?
I don't think when I think back to the season, I never really remember a receiver talking a lot of trash. Really, it was kind of I kind of did my job out there. I never really focused on what people were saying during the game. I mean, I don't talk any trash during the game. I normally hear Asante talking about something to one of the receivers after a play or something like that. I may laugh or giggle about that, but other than that, I keep my mouth shut in this play. But I never heard any receiver, talking directly to me, trash talking to me. So
I'm a little surprised to hear that because I always assumed that Steve Smith is a big trash talker.
Oh yeah, Steve. Steve has he's one of the great receivers out there, and I respect Steve's game a lot. He's kind of talked to me a lot, especially my rookie season when I was at Carolina, and I learned a lot from covering him my rookie season. And I mean, he has his little antics after the play where he'll spin the ball or do certain things or say some things, but I just laugh it off. I mean, I know Steve. I practice with Steve. I know his personality. He's a hard worker, despite what people may say about him. He's an excellent player and a hard worker. So I respect his game. I respect everything about him.
Okay. Now, as far as being in the NFL, when did it actually hit you that, like, man, I'm actually here. I'm going against some of the best receivers in the league, and I'm holding my own. Like that NFL, like I belong here moment.
It hasn't hit me yet. You know, I still, just like I said earlier, I still have a lot I want to accomplish. And I mean, I know I'm in the NFL, and I had a little success last year, but I still look for more. I still see a lot of the negatives I had, and I look to improve on those things instead of. I mean, I build off the positives from last year, but I want to build more on the negatives to create myself as a better player in the NFL. And you know, it's only kind of had one good season. I want to have a good rhythm of seasons, a good streak of seasons ahead of me. So that's kind of what I'm looking to have.
Okay. Now, as far as guys that you said since you're kind of not the vocal leader and you try to lead more by example, is there anybody that you've seen kind of step up as a rookie, like currently as a rookie in the OTAs and the mini camps?
Currently as a rookie, I don't know. They're all different. You know, they all have they're all kind of quiet now. You know, they're kind of adjusting to how mini camp is, how OTAs is, you know, how we practice really. And I haven't seen really that vocal type of rookie yet. You know, they're all out there making plays, and they're all confident. We have a very confident group of rookies, and which is going to be a good thing because you know they're not afraid to make mistakes, and they're also making a lot of plays. So, but I don't know. I haven't seen the rookie that kind of takes that leader stance. So, but I'm sure some of them have it in them.
Okay. I got a question about UConn. I went to Pitt, so there's a little bit of a rivalry there. But, you know, I've been noticed, you know, the last couple of years, UConn's put a lot of DBs in the NFL. You got, you know, yourself, Darius Butler. They had two guys drafted. You know, Jasper Howard, rest in peace. If he hadn't been killed, he'd probably be in the NFL as well. You know, what do you think about that little pipeline that UConn seems to be going?
Yeah, even top player, so you can't forget my man Savon. He's out in Oakland too, but I don't know. We've always had a good defense at UConn, and we've always had a good secondary. It's just we're a school that was kind of under the radar. We kind of grew a lot, especially the years I was there. I mean, we've always had great players, and Coach Esso has always brought in great players to that university, and players that worked hard, that were kind of under the radar, but with their work ethic, they kind of built. You know, they kind of made name for themselves, and you know, I wouldn't say we're like the DB university, but you know, we've put out draft picks and DBs in consecutive years. You know, and I'm just like Jasper and rest in peace Jasper. But he would have definitely been right after me. You know, in 2010.
Well, Robert, we'll get you out of here on that, and you know, we look forward to seeing your website and your art, and definitely look forward to you having another great season in Atlanta this year.
Okay, thank you.
Are you looking for an NFL website that doesn't throw rumors against the wall and hope they stick? Then please go to ProFootballCentral.com for up-to-date news and information. ProFootballCentral.com is back and better than ever. We're dedicated to being your number one NFL fan site, so come check us out at ProFootballCentral.com and experience the difference.
All right, that was Robert McClain, your favorite nickel corner for the Atlanta Falcons. Awesome having you on, Robert. Go to his Twitter. It's at BobbyMac36. He always displays his artwork on his Twitter. Great stuff. I wish I had half the talent that he had in drawing, because I could actually draw a stick figure if I had that. It's pretty bad. But, okay. I mean, his stuff's good, but my stuff's pretty bad.
I wish I had half the talent he had playing cornerback. That way I may have been able to make a buck at some point in my lifetime playing football.
I mean, yeah, you probably could have made quite a few bucks.
Yeah.
I just wish I could be paid what these guys get paid, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, practice squad money is real good money.
Practice
$6,000 a week or something like that.
It's $8,000 a week for 17 weeks.
Yeah.
Dude, if you paid me $8,000 a week, I would work 8 weeks out of the year. You kidding me, man? I could live off that, too. I'd be like, man, this is great. I'm just chilling. I get $8,000 a week. I don't really have to work.
Yeah.
Hell, I'd work 12 weeks out of the year and just be raking it in.
Yep.
1 week on, 3 weeks off. Talk about a great schedule. Anyway, speaking of guys who have been cut by the Jaguars. And
okay. You want to get into that? All right. Let's do it.
Yeah, Brian Robisky. I thought this guy was going to be a great player coming out.
I did too.
And the Falcons have kind of, in recent years, under Thomas Dimitroff, been signing guys that I was like, you know what, this guy seems like he'd be a Dimitroff kind of guy. Like Chase Kaufman, like Robert McClain. And then they come to Atlanta and they, make a big play like Kaufman did. Or they have a ridiculous season like you're not even expecting like Robert McClain did. I didn't think Robert McClain was going to do anything when he first signed with Atlanta. I even put in things that it's an uphill battle for him to even make the roster. It was last year, yet he made the roster and he won over every Falcon fan's heart by just being that everyman that Brent Grimes was early in his career. That guy who just busted his ass for the roster spot and earned it. That's Robert McClain. I think that Brian Robisky can be that guy. He was cut by the Jaguars at the beginning of the offseason, signed by the Lions, and then the Lions finally cut him. I don't get it. I really don't get it. He's 6'4". He's 225 pounds. He can catch. He needs coaching, and he needs a mentor, a true down-and-out mentor. Someone like Roddy White to just help mold him for 2 years while he can just be a fourth or a fifth wide receiver and have zero pressure on him. Why don't the Falcons sign him? Yeah, I know his dad's the wide receiver coach. There's a little bit of conflict of interest, but come on now. How good could he be if he just learned from the best wide receiver coach in the league, in Terry Robisky, and 2 of the top 10 wide receivers in the league, and Roddy White and Julio Jones? I don't understand.
It can't hurt.
It can't hurt. It can't hurt. Sorry I got a little ranty there, but
I was going to let you go, man.
No, I sent a tweet to Brian Finneran, and Brian's like, well, Terry said that he's never going to coach his son. I can understand that, but I can understand like not wanting to coach your son, but if that's the only reason why the team's not signing him, it is a stupid reason. It is an absolutely stupid reason, especially if you could make your son $10 million a year on his next contract by just coaching him. How is that not allowed? I don't understand why that wouldn't be allowed or why you wouldn't want to do that. You can set your son up for life, or you can let him stay a free agent and, go to the private sector and do whatever he got his degree in.
Yeah, nepotism is a regular occurrence in the NFL. It's not like it's this dirty little thing that goes on. It happens all the time. You look at coaches, assistant coaches, Kyle Shanahan. I'm blanking on some people, but there's plenty of coaches that have sons that have gotten jobs in the NFL. Jeff Fisher basically got fired because he wanted to hire his son as a quality control coach in Tennessee, and the owner there was like, I hate nepotism, and he fired him, which makes no sense. But having a coach's son, as you were saying, him being all he's really going to be asked to do is be the fourth receiver.
And that's at the highest. That's if he earns that spot.
Yeah. It's not like,
earn that spot.
It's not like we're going to be paying him $8 million and then he's going to come here and if he catches 0 passes or 2 passes, it's not like it's a huge loss because not to knock Drew Davis, but he had like 5 catches last year or something like that.
Well, and the thing is, he could sign a veteran minimum contract, and we could take advantage of the veteran. Or actually, he doesn't even have enough accrued seasons to be eligible for the MSB, the minimum salary benefit. He's not even eligible for that because he hasn't been in the league for 4 full seasons. You could sign him for literally $500,000, and nobody could complain about it.
Mm-hmm.
They would just go, "Oh, okay, they're signing Brian Robisky. They're putting him in the perfect situation to actually live up to his 2nd round billing. Holy shit. This might actually work for once." Yep. Yeah, it's his dad coaching, but who cares? No one's going to care. Arthur Blank wouldn't care.
Yeah, he's going to have to earn a roster spot. It's not like they're going to do him. The favor that they're technically doing him is signing him as opposed to giving him a roster spot. He's going to have to earn it. So if he happens to beat the rest of the guys and get that 4th job or whatever, then he'll have earned it. It won't be given to him.
I mean, I look at it this way. He would have to beat, and we're not talking about world beaters here. He'd have to beat Drew Davis and Kevin Cohn at a very minimum. He's got size. He's got speed on both these guys. He's got the strength. I mean, the real question is, does he have it up and does he have it processing the right way? He would instantly be the tallest wide receiver that the Falcons have. I'm kind of partial to tall, strong, fast wide receivers. I think potentially he could be a poor man's Julio Jones. Again, poor, very poor, but a poor man's Julio Jones.
Okay.
Kind of like Brian Hartline was this year.
Okay.
Just wide open all the damn time.
Okay.
Because the defense is focused on everybody else. But eventually he forces the defense to worry about him. Julio is just ridiculously explosive, though. And he's got great size, great power, great strength. Again, I can see that in Brian Robisky if a team will give him a chance. He'd be at least a rich man's Michael Jenkins.
That's a good comparison. With Ohio State, yeah. I think
with Ohio State, 6'4", intelligent guys, but I don't know if they've got the football smarts that a lot of guys have. But I mean, his dad, I understand, it's your son and it's the professional level, but you know that you're one of the best wide receiver coaches in the league. You know that you have 2 of the best wide receivers in the league. You know that this is the perfect situation for your son. Put the bullshit aside and just fucking coach your son.
All right, you hear that, Terry Robisky? Put the bullshit aside and coach your son. From Scott Carasik.
I mean...
He is calling you out personally.
I'm just saying, if I knew that I was one of the best, say, defensive line coaches out there, and I had a kid who was this up-and-coming defensive line prospect and he kind of floundered around, and then I had, Ndamukong Suh and Nick Fairley, and they were 10-time Pro Bowlers, I would put him behind those 2 and say, learn. Listen to what they say. I'm going to tell you shit in practice. This is what you have to do. If you don't do it right, you're cut. I have no control over it. But if you don't do it, you're cut. You have to listen. I'd probably be harder on him than the other guys just because he would be my own kid.
Probably.
Which would be fine.
Yeah. Maybe that's why they didn't want to do it.
Nah. You want a guy who's going to be hard on his... You know how Terry got through to Roddy White? He called Roddy White's mom, couple of days into the first training camp when Roddy started to smart off and said, hey, you got to take care of your kid. From then on, he never had a problem.
Right.
So, he could just do that with Brian, you know?
Okay. All right. Well, there's your Scott Carasik rant for the week.
Yeah, I guess you could say that.
All right, I'm glad we got that out of the way. I'm looking forward to next week's rant.
About what? I don't know. Something stupid.
I don't know. I'm sure there's something will happen in the next 7 days that you'll be able to rant over.
Something stupid happens every week that you're just like, come on, man. It's my own version of come on, man.
All right. So, Scott, we got a bunch of questions from some listeners. You want to get into those?
Actually, yes. We've got, let's see, 3, 4, 12. Yeah, we got quite a few.
Okay. We'll see if we can try to speed through some of these so we can try to get to as many as possible. Hit me.
All right. From Gerudo the Kid. What Jacquizz Rodgers' role be?
Okay. All right.
I read it straight the way he wrote it.
Yeah, he'll be the backup. He'll probably be mixed in on third down. He probably won't get as many reps as he did last year because of Steven Jackson's value on third down. Maybe the Falcons will try to sneak Jason Snelling on the field occasionally, which they rarely did last year. But he'll contribute, and he'll probably be looked at more as a change of pace back for the power that Steven Jackson is.
I'm going to disagree with you there.
Okay.
I think that Steven Jackson, he'll probably be in 95% of the plays. I'll agree with you there. But I think that the Falcons are going to start using a lot more split back sets because that's something that Dirk Cutter used a lot in his offenses at Arizona State. Now, I know we're talking college versus pro, but he ran a very pro-style scheme at Arizona State. So when he ran it, he would have 2 straight-up running backs in that set. And he would, shotgun, all that good stuff. You might even see a little bit, I'm going to sound crazy here, a little bit of pistol in the Falcons offense this year.
Okay. That'll be interesting.
I'm
a fan of the pistol.
I'm a huge fan of the pistol, but the thing is, Rodgers can block. Jackson can block. Ryan can't run, of course, but I mean, he's mobile enough. When they say he played, like when he says he played basketball, I'm like, what did he play? Point guard? Because he's not super fast or athletic or agile when it comes to that kind of stuff. Baseball, I can see, because you don't really need to be a huge athlete. Mo Vaughn played baseball for 20 years, and Mo Vaughn was huge. He was probably 400 pounds.
Yeah, and there's probably, even at 400 pounds, he's probably about half the size of Cecil Fielder.
Yeah, Cecil Fielder was huge. Prince Fielder's friggin' huge.
Pretty big.
Anyway, yeah. I think you're going to see some pistol. I think you're going to see sets where you have Snelling and Jackson and Rodgers, all 3 on the field at the same time sometimes. Again, 3 running backs. Craziness, I know. You'll see the diamond formation in Atlanta this year. I can guarantee it because it's going to be something that people aren't expecting because Ryan's not a running quarterback. He'll fake it to one guy and he'll pitch it to the other. That'll be your Atlanta Falcons read option. I think it'll work out well. I think you'll see about 250 carries for the beast, Steven Jackson. You'll see about 50 to 70 carries. You'll see 225. I'll say 225 for Jackson, 75 for Rodgers, and about 30 for Snelling.
Okay,
But
that sounds about right.
But you're going to see all three of them get a lot of catches. I think you'll see 35, 40 catches for Rodgers, 35, 40 catches for Jackson, and probably about 15 to 20 catches for Snell. Because all of them can catch, all of them can run, all of them can block. You just throw them in there. Just get two on the field at a time. Brady Ewing can do all the same stuff too.
Okay.
I mean, you got four quality guys back there. I'm not a big fan of Antone Smith as an offensive player, but that's a whole other discussion. All right, next question.
All right.
Will Chase Kaufman, Harry Douglas, or Levine Toilolo be able to step up this season?
Well, I expect basically Harry Douglas to be the same player that he has been, which is a guy that will, make about 2, maybe 3 catches a game. Every now and then he'll make a big play, and you'll be like, oh, there's Harry Douglas. Oh, that's why we love Harry Douglas. And then he'll probably disappear for 2-3 weeks. Like, that's the normal thing. Kaufman and Toilolo, that's going to be interesting. With the Falcons running more 2 tight end sets, I think, than we saw last year. And it's going to be interesting to see either of those guys step up. I wish I could give you an answer. I think it's up in the air. I think that's one of those question marks that, day one of the season, we'll see.
Okay. I think that Kaufman out of all of them will be the one that steps up. Harry Douglas, I'm with you. He is what he is at this point. Toilolo, on the other hand, I think he's the blocker for this year.
Mm-hmm.
He did very well in college. I think the Falcons might have overdrafted him a little bit, but, who am I to argue with Thomas Dimitroff, who's way more established than I am? I did like Toilolo. I just liked him in more like the 6th as opposed to the 4th. But when it's the 4th round, let's put it this way. When it's the 3rd or 4th round, Dimitroff is going to take somebody who should probably go much later in that round. It's just what he does. Did it with Hawley. Did it with Sidbury. Well, Sidbury was kind of a steal. But did it with Hawley. Did it with Peters. It's what he does. We may not agree with him, but he picks the guy. Completely did it with Dent, and Dent might actually be a ridiculously good player. So, well, I mean, Toilolo's the wild card. I think any of those 3 could step up, but it's one of those, will they step up? I don't think they will. I think it's too early for all 3 of them. Next question. Again, about Levine Toilolo. Do you see starter potential in him down the road?
Potential, yes. Will he become a starter? I don't think he is exactly what the Falcons will be looking for in a starter. So I think he'll be more of a situational player. If I'm putting money on it, that's what I'm going to bet he's going to be. He's going to split reps with somebody else. And that other person is probably going to be technically the starter.
I'm going to go a little wild here, and I'm going to say that Chase Kaufman ends up being the starter. And I think Toilolo's got starter potential. I think he could end up being that guy. But I think 2014, 2015, unless they do something crazy and get Austin Severian Jenkins at some point, Chase Kaufman's going to be the starter. And the only way I see them getting Severian Jenkins is if that guy does not play for this entire season and somehow slips to their pick. Because he is too good to... He's way too good to not go top 10.
Okay. It's good to know.
Yeah, dude's a beast. He's a taller, only slightly, but taller version of Tony Gonzalez with, you remember Brandon Pettigrew coming out, how he was a ridiculously good blocker and he was a very raw route runner, but he was a ridiculously good blocker and a solid receiver?
Mm-hmm.
He's Brandon Pettigrew's blocking with Tony Gonzalez's receiving.
Okay. It's a good combination.
He's a beast. All right. Got a tweet from Ben Moore named @GStateBen, so Georgia State. Thoughts on former Georgia State running back Donald Russell's chance to make the active roster?
I don't think it's good. He's got a shot. He's basically got to beat out Anton Smith. That's not an impossible task to do. Mainly, he's probably going to have to have a good preseason running the ball, showing that particularly he's going to have to show that he can pass protect, because that really impresses coaches when a young guy can pass protect. But if he's not great there, but he's a good runner, then that gives him a shot. And he's going to have to be able to showcase some abilities in special teams. That's the only way he's going to make the active roster. I think he's got a pretty good shot at making the practice squad. I think all the undrafted rookies got a shot at making the practice squad, but I think he's got an opportunity to step in.
I hate to sound like a Debbie Downer here, but
Okay.
I don't see any talent there.
Just lay it down.
I think he's camp fodder. I think that's his absolute best role, if there was a role. I mean, to be fair, I said the same thing about Robert McClain last year, so he could completely surprise me, but he's camp fodder. He's just a guy to get some carries while you're waiting for someone else to, while you're training your linebackers, he is a running tackling dummy. That is what I see him as. Sorry.
Okay.
Basically what I envisioned Anton Smith as the past 5 years. He's a running tackling dummy who just goes out there, gets hit. I see Josh Vaughn as the same kind of guy. If he makes the practice squad, it's his exact same role. He's the linebacker. He's the guy that you're using to teach these linebackers how to hit other running backs with. Hey, imitate this guy for today. Hey, imitate that guy for today. I think the name to look out for in training camp is Ronnie Wingo. I think he could legitimately take Anton Smith's job as both a special teamer and the backup running back. He's faster, he's stronger, he's bigger, he's better. And he can block. I don't think Anton Smith can block.
Okay.
All right. So, got a question from a girl named Valentina. She wants to know what the biggest flaw we see within the Falcons.
Biggest flaw.
Currently on the team.
First thing pops into mind, no backup quarterback. Or no experienced backup quarterback, I should say. That can kill a team season quicker than anything else. And the Falcons have been through that 2003, 2007, heck, even 2009, when Chris Redmond had to start 2 games. If the Falcons win both of those games against Philadelphia and New Orleans, Falcons are in the playoffs that year. So that's the first thing.
And the streak looks ridiculously good. The 5-year winning streak looks like 5-year playoff streak.
Yeah.
I mean, I could agree with you at backup quarterback, but I honestly think Dominique Davis is better than last year's clipboard holder, Luke McCown.
I wouldn't disagree with you on that. It's not me bashing Dominique Davis. It's just, I think 2014 is going to be his year. I'm a little nervous about him in 2013. That's all.
I think he explodes in the preseason and quells a lot of people's oh, that's who they've got behind Ryan. Okay. And I also really like Sean Renfree and pretty much anybody else who's ever been coached by David Cutcliffe at quarterback. Peyton Manning, Eli Manning. Some pretty talented guys. Yeah. If I had to say the biggest flaw, I would go with linebacker depth. And I think that there's a lot of talent at linebacker, don't get me wrong. And this is going into another guy's question, actually. He says, how do you see the linebacker depth chart on opening day? Any surprises? Bartu, Clancy, Banks. Linebacker depth, there's a lot of talent. It is all undrafted and Robert James. I feel like Robert James doesn't really need to be on the roster anymore. He's kind of just there. Pat Schiller should be your veteran backup. As veteran as you can be as a one-year guy. Pat Schiller is the veteran backup. Bring in Brian Banks in the middle as your backup there. So you got your strong side, you got your middle. Paul Warlow on the weak side. And I think Nick Clancy as a practice squad guy. Hell, you can probably keep 8 of the 9 guys that are on the roster at linebacker through practice squad and active roster spots, just all there. Because there's a lot of talent, a lot of guys who should have been drafted that weren't, like Warlow, like Clancy, like Joplo Bartu. They all should have been drafted this year, but they weren't. But they should have been in a heartbeat. So there's talent there. There's intelligence there. Unless they move Zeke Motta to linebacker, I'm not really seeing a ton of talent that jumps out at you and says, oh my God, the linebacker depth is a strength. It's really not. The guys behind it are kind of scary. What's your thought? Or you already said backup quarterback. What are your thoughts on the linebacker depth chart?
I'm starting to think that the Falcons may only keep 5 linebackers on the roster this year, just because they'll be mixing more of the guys that we consider defensive ends more into that position, playing outside linebacker. And, I don't think they're going to veer too much away from basically having their quote-unquote base defense be their nickel defense with only 2 linebackers. So I think that's one of the reasons why they don't feel like they need to have proven linebacker depth. But, I think if I was picking those 5, I think, the 3 starters did Nicholas Spoon, obviously. I think Schiller, I'm a Schiller guy, so I'm going to say he's a lock at the 4th spot. And I think that 5th spot will be up to guys like Robert James, Banks, and Warlow. But I think, the team would love to see Banks or Warlow or any of the other guys, Bartu or Clancy, step in, show some things on special teams and take that spot. Maybe there's 6. I think we kept 6 last year.
They only kept 5 last year, too. So, okay. But the thing is, they kept the 6th on the practice squad.
Yeah. I'm 100% confident that one of these undrafted guys between Banks, Warlow, Bartu, Clancy, etc., one of them is gonna be on the practice squad, definitely. I don't know if we're gonna keep 6 on the roster just because I think they have 10 defensive linemen that they might end up keeping, and it's gonna cost somebody a job, and I think it's gonna wind up being a linebacker.
See, I think it's gonna end up being a defensive tackle. I think they're only going to keep 4 defensive tackles. I think you're going to have Peters. I think you're going to have – because if you look at who they brought in guys who can be either ends and tackles, or they brought in guys who could be ends and linebackers. But they didn't bring in guys who are straight, this is a damn defensive end kind of guy. Like Malachi Goodman, he could play anywhere between the 3 to the 7 and be effective.
Yeah. He's referring to the techniques, people. People.
3 to 7 tech, under tackle the defensive end. He could play any of those and be effective. Mm-hmm. Cliff Matthews played a lot of 3 tech at University of South Carolina. It would not shock me to see him in that role again with the Falcons. I think it'd be a great fit for him there too. So you got those 2 guys who can kind of do both. You got Bierman who can play friggin' anywhere. I throw him at middle linebacker, throw him at defensive end, throw him at nose tackle. Just throw him on the field and he will do what you ask of him. Gotta love a guy like that. I say let him lose 10 pounds, get some speed back. OCU Menioria, defensive end linebacker. Masakwa, defensive end linebacker. Mapanga, defensive end linebacker. You know, you got a bunch of guys who you can fit in multiple roles. At defensive tackle, you don't really need more than 3 guys active every game and 4 guys on the roster. So Robertson, I think, is going to keep a spot. I think Regis will probably spend another year on the practice squad unless they get somebody ridiculous who like just magically got cut that shouldn't have. I honestly think that they do sign Seymour, that Jerry gets cut, and that the top 3 are going to be Seymour, Babineau, and Peters. And I think that's the way it should be. And I think Peters is underrated by the Falcons fan base by a lot. By a lot. He's up at 310 pounds, and he's cut 10% of his body weight. He's going to be a beast this year.
I'm looking forward to seeing it.
So, all right. Final one in the mailbag. Nick Page asks, who do you think the biggest rookie impact is going to be this year?
I think it's fairly obvious it's going to be Trufant. I think he'll be starting at right corner for us day one. I think he will, I think rookie corners tend to have their ups and downs. So I don't expect him to come in and light up the world. Even a player as great as Patrick Peterson had his ups and downs early in his rookie career. With that said, I think he'll come in, he'll have a good season. I think he'll be an improvement over Dante Robinson because unlike Dante Robinson, Desmond Trufant has ball skills. I think if you're going to pick a sleeper, obviously the next best choice would be Robert Alford. Maybe the extra work Alford gets in minicamp and, whatever happens in preseason will happen in training camp. But maybe he actually beats Trufant. Plus, I think Alford is going to be in a really good position to not only be the team's punt returner, but also the kick returner. I actually think his ability with his straight line speed and his acceleration, he actually has the potential to be a much better kickoff returner than a punt returner. And, yeah.
I just want to say the one thing that I've been reading about Alford, and one thing that I've been talking to people about Alford is they pretty much have him as the guy right behind Asante Samuel. Like, it's Asante Samuel and it's him, and they're at the left corner. And Trufant, they were playing the right side, which to me seems a little weird, but Trufant did play primarily on the right side at Washington.
And Alford did play a lot of left on Southeastern Louisiana.
Alford just followed the number 1 guy at Southeastern Louisiana. That's all he did. Same thing Cortez Allen did at the Citadel. Just, hey, you're our best guy, go against their best guy. It's much simpler at D1A, a D1 AA level than it is with the big boys like you had at Pitt. It's a lot more backyard. Like, hey, this is our best player. This is your best player. Go match up. Hey, we've got Andre Roberts. We're going to throw him around the formation. Go match up.
Mm-hmm.
So, honestly, I think Alford might be the biggest impact for his return skills more than his corner skills this year. But if I personally had to pick, I think I'm going to go with a dark horse. I think it's going to be Malachi Goodman.
Okay. Bold. I like that pick.
I had a 2nd round grade on him. I really liked what I saw. The issue with him, because I went through 2 years of tape and said, this guy is too good over his last 6 games to be so bad his first, 3 years statistically. There's some issue here. He didn't have a single pass rush move. Not a single shred of a pass rush move. It was, I'm going to bull rush. I'm going to bull rush. I'm going to bull rush. Well, once Brent Venables goes there, and, he's a brilliant defensive guy, and
right.
He understands how to teach defensive linemen pass rush moves, well, look what happens. He gets 7 sacks in his last 7 games, two against a ridiculously good player at Louisiana State, who I'm shocked isn't getting more. I'm shocked he wasn't drafted higher. And Chris Falk, he had 2 sacks worth of work, and Falk kind of faked an injury, but I'm not gonna fault him for that. He got beat like a scalded mule. It wasn't fun. Anyway, that's beside the point. Goodman can just great pass rush moves, can play 3 through 7. You know, he will play 60% of the snaps this year. He will play base set. He'll play 3 down lineman set. He will be in on the nickel set at the nose.
Okay.
When they do their 3-man nickels, their 3-man nickel linemen.
Okay.
And he'll do great at it. And it's just things that he would do for Clemson, he can do for the Falcons. Now, one thing the Falcons did last year was they did a 2-4-5 set where it was 2 down linemen and 3 tech, and it was the 4 linebackers. If they do that set this year with Bierman and Massaquoi at the linebackers, and they have Babineau and Goodman at the defensive line, that could be a fast pass rush getting after the quarterback.
I like the way that sounds. I don't know, any formation that has Jonathan Babin on the field is fine with me.
As long as Babs is on the field, I don't care about the rest.
Yeah.
Jonathan Babineau, the one-man wrecking crew.
He is.
He's a beast.
All right, Scott, do we have any more questions?
Let me see. Let me see if we got one more.
I got one. James Gallagher tweeted, will Richard Seymour sign?
Will Richard Seymour sign?
What I've been reading recently doesn't sound too promising.
Let's just put it this way. Seymour wants to be in Atlanta. Atlanta wants Seymour. Seymour wants X amount of money. Atlanta wants to give him Y.
Yeah. That breaks it down. Until X becomes, until
X and Y, I'm going to give you an algebra problem. X is on a slope, Y is on a slope. When they finally intersect, there you go. That's your meeting point. Once the Falcons and Seymour both hit that meeting point, there it is.
Yep.
Atlanta's going to have to come up. Seymour's going to have to come down.
Who blinks first?
And hopefully they both blink at the same time. And yeah. Now, there's been the question of, does Matt Ryan's contract affect the Seymour signing? What are your thoughts on that?
Correct me if I'm wrong, but what our current salary cap is? What, $6 million under?
I've got it at 6.5. Some guys have it at 6. It's an in between the two.
Okay.
I might be missing something. I'm not gonna lie and be like, "Oh my God, I'm perfect." No, I've got it at 6.5 under the cap. I might be missing something. I know Sport Track's missing a couple of the contracts that I have. It is what it is.
Okay. Well, just making sure it wasn't like 2 or anything. $6 million. Yeah. I think currently the Falcons probably. Well, now I'm trying to think of what Trufant's contract and how that's going to affect it, but I don't know. I wish
Trufant's contract and Renfree's contract basically just take $2 million off of where they're currently at.
Okay.
So essentially, they're at 4.5 after rookie contracts.
Okay, so that means, and they probably want to keep 3 going into training camp or the season, just in case of injuries. That's usually like the number that teams like to have for maneuvering.
3 is probably good. Yeah.
So that means basically $1 million left over for Seymour. So yeah, okay. I just worked it out. So Matt Ryan's contract probably will affect Seymour because I'm sure Seymour wants a little bit more than $1 million.
Yeah, but here's the thought. I feel like it's more Trufant. The Falcons can create cap space easily. They could restructure Roddy White, add a couple years to his deal. They could restructure Jonathan Babineau, add a couple years to his deal, which would make everybody happy. Because it's his last year of the deal.
Mm-hmm.
Give him 2 more years. Take his base salary, turn it into a signing bonus. That would obviously make him happy because that's $4.7 million of cash in his hand. Who wouldn't want $4.7 million just handed to him? But take his base salary, turn it into signing bonus, give him 2 more years. Bing, bang, boom. Everybody's happy. He's got 2 more years. Everybody's got 2 more years, basically, of Jonathan Babineau on the team. What's there not to like?
So, I can't think of anything.
And then you got room for Richard Seymour. And what would Seymour dislike about that? Hey, man, it's Babineau and Seymour under contract for at least 2 years, 3 years. But I think Seymour's going to play 1 year and then dip. Same thing, Tony Gonzalez type deal.
Mm-hmm. That sounds about right. You got any more?
That's all the questions that I've got.
All right.
I don't know if you had anything else sent your way.
No, that's about it. I apologize if you tweeted me and we didn't get to your question this week. We will definitely get to more next week. Of course, you can tweet at either myself at FalcFans or Scott, which is at Scott Carasik, or Falcons PFC. The show has its own Twitter handle. And if you can tweet directly to us. It'll help us if you add the hashtag Falcons Mailbag. That makes it easier for us to find the tweets.
A lot easier.
Yeah. So, any other topics you want to get to, Scott?
I think that'll be it for this week. I got a couple things I'll save up for next week. I wanted to talk about a little bit more about the Stankonia Dome, but I feel like there's going to be something announced between now and next week that we're going to hear about. That's going to either be a WTF or it's going to be a, hey, that actually makes sense. So.
All right. Looking forward to it. Once again, we want to thank Robert McClain for being on the show. We had another guest lined up, but unfortunately, he had some scheduling issues, so we had to cancel last minute. Again, you can find Robert McClain on Twitter at BobbyMac36. He is your favorite nickel corner. So I guess that is
nickel corner. He's the best nickel corner in the league. And I don't feel bashful saying that because all the PFF metrics back me up.
Hey, he's a humble guy. He wouldn't want to say it, but I think he's in the conversation. I wouldn't have any qualms against you saying that he's the best. Cortland Finnegan, Ladarius Webb, if we're talking about slot corners, are 2 of the best, and he was just as good as either of those guys last year.
I'd say the second best slot corner in the league right now is Cortez Allen of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Another one. He shut down Gronk. Against Cortez Allen, Gronkowski had 1 catch for 4 yards on a 3rd and 8. I think that's doing your job.
Mm-hmm.
That's the 1 catch he had on Cortez Allen. And I gave him crap for it. He goes, dude, look at the play. It was 3rd and 8. I did my job. I tackled him right after he caught it. All right. You're right.
Yeah.
So, I wish the Falcons would have drafted him. That's all I'm going to say.
Citadel guy, right?
Citadel guy, yeah. I also wish they would have drafted Andre Roberts.
Yeah.
They showed interest in both. And both guys definitely clear the filter. I know from personal experience that both guys would definitely clear the filter. Never been arrested, never been suspended, both team captains. all that stuff. So, yeah.
Well, I think on that note, that's going to do it for our show this week.
That will be all for this week. Make sure you tune in next week to Falcons Central podcast. Falcons Central Radio, sorry. And yeah, you can hit me up on Twitter at Scott Carasik, Aaron at FalcFans.
This has been a presentation of the Pro Football Central Network. For news, blogs, highlights, and more, log on to ProFootballCentral.com.